All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. Here we're going to be talking about how to improve some of your traditional inking. As you guys can see here, I started inking a piece that I wanted to do for a while from The Walking Dead. Now, I've been watching the show for a little while, certainly excited, and I wanted to commemorate here some of the most memorable characters that I've certainly been a fan of and that I think they're really cool. So first, going over the penciling process, just sketching everything out very loose, just getting some of these ideas out of my head and into a piece of paper. Afterwards, I just started adding a little bit of detail on each one of the characters, fleshing them out. So something nice, loose, kind of fun overall. Certainly focusing on the permanent features of each character and getting a little bit of that likeliness, of course. So some of the materials that I use for just penciling in some of my artwork are 0.5 mechanical pencil with regular lead, nothing special about it, and also a electronic eraser. By the way, I want to take the opportunity to mention that on the following video after this one, I'll be taking this piece and adding some color to it, explaining how exactly you can go about digitally coloring this inked piece once it's on the computer. Now, in order to get this image, once it's inked into the computer, you may do it in many different ways. You may scan the image, or you may also take a good quality picture of it. So some camera phones are very powerful, and you may do that step with a camera phone and it should work fine, but I would recommend a printer or a scanner, I should say, because it will actually get you the better quality. All right. I apologize for most of this recording. You will be seeing the back of my head, and that has to do with the fact that I place the camera actually kind of far from me. I'm still working on getting a better rig to record my artwork better, but for now, this would work. Just wanted to show you guys part of my process. So you guys can see here now the whole artwork is actually inked. This project itself took we're talking about maybe 3 hours to complete. So we have compressed 3 hours into less than 10 minutes. Okay, therefore it's like more than 100% increased speed just to make it work into this short amount of time. However, as you guys can see here, I'm using some of my traditional inking techniques, and I would like to talk a little bit about those. Certainly, when you're drawing with ink, especially if the first times you've done it, it can be a little scary, because once you put the ink line in there, it's permanent, right? So the only really tip that I can give you there is just practice. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. In this particular piece, I actually committed many mistakes. And one of those mistakes actually had to do at the very beginning when I started off the project. My line, for instance, did not look confident enough. So it would look a little shaky. And then as I started spending more time with the project, I started to feel more and more comfortable with the line stroke. So it made things way more easier towards the end. And then I actually had to go back to those beginning lines and kind of revise them, right? Another good idea that you can take from this, it would be either using tracing paper or a light table to trace over your work. Once you already got the clean line, unless you're planning on actually erasing all the pencil and then re-ink that on top of the original artwork, I recommend just cleaning it up completely. And in this case, I actually have a light tracer. So I placed my original artwork on that light tracer that you guys can see there on my table, and then I went in there and started just tracing that line over, and it makes things look so much better, so much more interesting and cleaner. The other thing I would like to talk about is with ink itself, you can have a lot of say in terms of the lighting, where the lighting is coming from. Is usually hint by how the ink is placed on the artwork. The varieties between thin lines and thicker lines come from the light source itself. So for instance, any part of the artwork that would have light hitting on it would have a thinner line weight than the part of the artwork that will be closer to the shadow. At that point, I will emphasize more of a thicker line. Inking can also create mood, and you can indicate this depending on the amount of inking that you use. Over here with The Walking Dead, as you guys know, the series is a little gory, right? There's lots of blood, there's lots of it's a very dark theme, right? Zombies and whatnot. So I actually decided to go with a little heavier inking than I would with maybe something that it was, let's say, meant for kids. So even though it's cartoony, I'm still trying to emphasize the darkness that would come with the mood of the series. So there's certainly different ways in which you can ink, let's say, hair or metal, right? I think just looking at the real world references will help out with that. If you're trying to render something that, let's say, is a chrome material, and the way you would render, let's say, the hair or fur, it will certainly be different, and you certainly would like to use different techniques with that. Okay, inking may also create focal points, which can be used to add interest into an area. So just to sum up all the points very quick. First off, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Always go with a confident line as you place it on the paper. Always think about where the lighting is coming from. The inking itself can always be a good indicator of mood. You should always use different rendering techniques for different materials. And finally, inking may create focal point. Here's the final product using some of the inkings that I just mentioned. So I hope you guys can have something to take away from this. Thank you so much. Please make sure to subscribe on the link below and make sure to leave me a comment. Did you guys enjoy this type of videos? Thank you for checking it out, and I'll see you guys next time.